He left in handcuffs.
How long did it take you to get here?
I don't know, it's like 2.5 hours. It is crazy, yeah. Why did you let me come?
I don't know.
If you're so nervous. Wanted to check out the situation, you know?
Well, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, that's
That grin.
to be like.
What kind of pizza we have tonight? Who's this? I'll get to that in a minute. Who are you?
Good entrance.
You tell me first. You're Jeff, right?
Yeah,
And what are you doing here tonight, Jeff?
hanging out
Hanging out with whom?
with her.
Who's her?
I want to know who you are.
I want to know
Child.
more about you first.
Can I eat first?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, wow.
So you drove 2.5 hours
Sure did.
from Boston.
Sure
Come
did.
here.
2.5
You a
hours.
young girl.
You are
I will get to that in a minute.
It just fell apart. Even the pizza didn't want to go in there, did it? It's,
I haven't done anything wrong. Coming to meet somebody?
A young girl?
Yeah, is that against the law?
It is after this chat. Did you bring some kind of a contract with you? Some sort of marriage contract? You say, I can't go to jail. My life would be ruined.
Right.
Could be locked up for 20 years.
Yep.
And then you say, do you trim your...
oh, you disgusting piece of...
This girl is 13, right?
Wasn't sure.
She's told you.
No. That doesn't
And you're what, 37?
mean anything.
You're 37? How old are you?
He's older than 37.
Might as well just tell me, because I can find out like that.
Who are you?
I will tell you that in a minute.
I can find out
You're
like
making
that.
me nervous, and
You're 44 years old, right?
I was thinking about this on the way down,
Right. You had 2.5 hours to think about it.
and I wasn't gonna.
That was quite funny.
I'm not gonna risk it. That's what I said.
It's not normal for a 44-year-old guy to drive 2.5 hours to hang out with a 13-year-old girl.
I wanted to hang out, see how she was, see if
A 13-year-old girl.
I'm not gonna have sex with her unless it's legal.
So you talk about a plan to
It's not legal.
to marry her. You love her?
No,
You want to have sex with her?
I don't know.
You want to marry her? What do you mean you don't know? She's 13.
You don't know.
I don't know. I was just throwing things out, like, you know, just in case. Maybe I did like her.
Just
Maybe it
makes
was,
you
know,
angry,
So
doesn't
you
it?
would marry a 13-year-old girl because she's really cool and you could have sex.
After a while, if it worked out, yeah.
After a while.
Yeah.
It seems like someone who
Chat
at
is
44
chat.
years old.
Chat is chat.
Chat is chat, but showing up is showing up. And guess what, Jeff? You showed up. At a home where you knew a 13-year-old girl would be alone.
What a great line.
After a sexually charged conversation.
Chat is chat.
You come in.
Just showing up is showing
I
up.
want to hug you.
Yeah,
The little girl's nervous. You do it with everybody.
yeah.
You do that every time you meet a 13-year-old girl.
I do it when I meet somebody for the first time. I hug them.
But this somebody is not.
You didn't hug Chris Hansen, though, did you?
I'll tell you what.
I'm trying to be nice. Can you just tell me who you are?
I'm Chris Hansen, and this is an investigation called HANSEN Vs Predator.
Ooh, here they
So if
come.
there's anything else you want people to know, anything you want to say, now would be a good time to say it.
I can't believe this is happening.
Did you bring any sort of a marriage contract?
No.
You can leave.
And then what?
That's not up to me. You can take your pizza if you like.
You want a slice?
I'm good, thank you very much.
So the cops here?
We'll see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Or if they're here, just bring them in.
It'd be best if you were.
Yeah, that's where they're waiting. See, it dawned on him, didn't it? While he was trying to think of excuses to justify it, it slowly sank
Sokol
in.
was sentenced to 7 years in prison, serving a mandatory 30 months.
Well, hope you enjoyed that little recap. I certainly did, because to me it just means that we've got another one of these types that prey on children off our streets and out of our communities. If you haven't seen part 1, please help yourself to that video. I'm watching the whole performance of him entering the house and being absolutely broken apart by Chris Hansen, which is quite fascinating viewing. You've got to remember that this man, who was 44, said he was 30, did he say 35 or 30 something in the chat? He was really 44. He drove 2.5 hours to be with, appears was mentioned several times to be a 13-year-old in the chat, and he's there precisely when the parents are out of town. So that tells you pretty much everything that we really need to know about this man. And like I said earlier, I'm just glad that we can kind of laugh at this numbnuts and thank the heavens that he's another one off our streets. Now, this police interview that happened on the same night, as soon as he was caught, he was brought into the station and they had this quite long police interview. It's an hour and 40 minutes. This will be the first time I'm actually going to see it from start to finish. Kindly uploaded by Joey's TCAP channel, so thanks a lot for that. I'm going to watch the whole thing on this stream, and when I come to post it on the FilmDirt channel, I'm not going to post an hour and 40-minute video segment. That's far too long. I'm not going to put anyone through that, so I'll probably edit it down. I'm going to edit out all the spaces, and I'm not going to be talking all the way through it because I actually want to listen to the legal jargon and what this cop is saying. So there's going to be a lot of spaces where I'm not talking anyway. So I'll try and edit it down to just the highlights at about 20 to 25 minutes. I think that will be sufficient. And also, I think this police video is pretty bad quality. This all happened in 2015, and it seems a lot of police forces were still using those real basic first generation cameras obtained at the turn of the millennium, and nothing like now where, you know, we're all in full HD, aren't we? So we're going to have to excuse the quality, but the sound is pretty decent. And also, just to declare, I'm not going to perform any character analysis. This channel isn't about that. There's a few other channels that are doing a great job analysing behaviour and sociopaths and stuff like that. I'm just going to sit here and laugh at this, laugh at this fool. Another one being taken off our streets, and that's about the deepest dive I'm going to take on this. And also, as we gathered in his interaction with Chris Hansen, he's quite argumentative. So hopefully this cop is, who I hear is quite no nonsense. It's probably going to hopefully teach him a thing or two about the basics of right and wrong. I mean, that's all we can hope for. If there's anything we want from these types, we want them to be rehabilitated, don't we? And never do this again. So let's see how they get on. And like I said, this is the first time viewing for me. And before we start, thanks again for joining me. And thanks to all my visitors in the US. It's really good of you all to take time out of your day or night to enjoy this takedown with me. so let's just press play now. Here we go. Right, let's see what happens here. Oh, the picture's not that bad actually. It's sort of visible clearly.
You all set? Corn when you.
This is Detective Kelly in the blue shirt.
First thing I need to do, I'm Detective Kelly, obviously with the here for the Connecticut Police. Just going over your rights with you. You want to speak with me about what happened
of course, he's willing to speak, which he shouldn't really. They say never talk to the police, don't they, without a lawyer, because the only objective is to take you to jail. You see, the technique they use is that there isn't a lawyer present, so you can talk to us now, or if you need a lawyer, we'll have to put you in jail until a lawyer can get down to the station and speak to us. They're vague on how long that's going to take. So that's the pressure you're in when you get arrested, like this fool.
10 years or more.
He's married for 10 years.
Any kids? What was the reason for the dissolution of the marriage? Any major issue with the ex-wife?
No.
Or she with the other?
No, it was just a mutual breakup.
And how about dating and things since then? Do you have relationships? Have you had any recently?
Yeah, I mean, a few here and there. Yeah.
What was the last one?
I mean, I had a short one over the summer, a couple months.
How old was she?
15.
How old was she?
I shouldn't joke.
And I mean, this wasn't, I'm sure, the first time you met a girl who was purportedly 12 or so years old.
12?
I believe it was the first time that I know of.
It was? Is that what you're saying? It was the first time? I mean, I don't know. You may have an issue or a certain fetish or attraction to younger girls. You probably do.
Yeah, I've never met, I've never gone to meet a girl that was a teenager.
Never. And why tonight?
So Detective Kelly is saying 12 years old and he's saying teenager.
Nothing to do.
It sounds better, doesn't it?
Just hang out, and I was just gonna drive home later tonight.
You talked, I know in the text there was some mention of a marriage contract. I don't know if it's a religious thing or something else, but what's the deal with the marriage certificate? What was that whole conversation? Contract?
The marriage contract.
I know I was joking at one time when I said, is it in the contract?
Did you mention having her sign it, or you signing it, or both of you signing it?
There was conversation about that. I was just explaining to her that people could get married by just signing a contract. Yeah.
I think you could probably even
14,
understand.
but yeah, she said she was 14. But okay.
She was 14?
I know, it's young.
There's a mix-up in the ages here, isn't there?
Get some of the text, so we're both clear about what age she said she was.
Still wasn't 12.
No?
No.
And 14 is that big of a difference anyway? Is it, you're 44?
Definitely makes a difference to me.
Because neither are legal, you know that, right? Age of consent is 16, which is...
Again, 16 is, to me, too young still.
I thought she might be 14.
It's the same here, 16 is too young. It's unbelievable. 14, he's arguing 14. The actual age was 13, apparently. And Detective Kelly is saying 12. It doesn't really make much difference. They're all underage.
Talking about, blowjobs and oral sex
Blowjob with a child. Oh, it's incredible, isn't it? Just listening to the cop go through all this.
I didn't think it was against the law to meet with somebody and just hang out and talk to them.
You probably, I mean, I don't know you.
Is it? Is it? Just like hang out with
Yeah,
somebody?
it's intent.
To hang out?
If I had sex with her, yeah, that would be against the law, but they didn't
Okay,
do
so
that.
let's just take a step back. So let's just say you never got divorced from your wife, and you had a daughter. You said it was 10 years ago, right? Give or take, you got divorced. So let's just say, as a result of that marriage, you had a daughter or a son who was 10, 12, 13 years old. And it's Friday night, and you and your wife, hey, honey, hey, whatever your daughter's name is, Caitlin, we're gonna run to, out to dinner and stay out a little bit late. You could stay at home and you come to find out, they walk in, there's a 44-year-old guy from, 200 miles or 100 and something miles away. Is everybody cool with that? You're cool with that?
Well, obviously, at first, no.
At first?
Yeah, when they first walk in, it's not gonna be cool. But if it was somebody like me, I don't think there's a threat.
But how do they know what your intention is? You're talking about blowjobs and
Yeah, they don't.
other issues. You're not talking about maybe
He's
some
right.
interest
It's not a normal conversation.
in music or sports, which is also, I mean, the whole thing would be weird. I think just what everybody would think. I think you.
It's
actually-
grooming and intent
It's unhealthy and
with a
strange.
sexual chat.
A 44-year-old guy, what's he got in touch with, in common with a 12 or 14-year-old girl? And why, if he lived in a big metropolitan area, would he drive whatever the distance was, 2 hours away on a Saturday night?
Isn't that all speculation?
To me,
I mean, it's like
what's the speculation? I'm looking at this
you're,
thing, it's like,
you're speculating that I was going to have sex with her tonight.
because that's what you said.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that? Well, tell me what you
That's what you
said.
said.
About having sex, but that doesn't mean.
Isn't that strange?
It doesn't mean I was going to tonight.
Well, yeah, tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week.
Maybe when she's 16.
So but where's that in the conversation?
I don't know, it might be
Did you
in there.
mention that?
It might
You
be-
did.
it might be in there. I mean, I mentioned that I was looking, I looked into like the laws and stuff about, minors. I was looking into it. I was curious.
Why would you do that?
No, because I was going to meet a minor. And, to hang out with them.
So you knew there was an issue. Is it being a teenager? Is that the big hump that you need to hear? Like, okay, she's a teenager. She's 13, she's not 12. She's 14, she's not 12.
Is he deliberately getting the age wrong just to get him to repeat what he believed was too young?
Yeah, still 2 years under the age of majority, right? Certainly not, worldly or mature enough to consent to anything. Right?
Yeah, he's nailed it. When you're that young, you don't have the ability to consent.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Why, if you thought I came down there to have sex, why didn't you wait and see if that happened?
Why would I want to put
What a
that
stupid
girl
thing
that
to
was in
say.
the house through any
That's the
kind
mentality.
of a horrible experience that
Wow.
could get really out of hand really quickly?
Okay.
And you ultimately had relations with her,
It
with
wouldn't.
intercourse. How does it make it legal?
It wouldn't unless her mom consented to marriage.
Well, the mum's got to, in his mind, consent.
So you're gonna marry a 13-year-old girl with her mother's permission?
Maybe
As if she'd.
60, I would do that. Why is that like so hard to believe?
Oh, wow.
Why is it hard?
Wow.
Yeah, that could happen.
I can't say I've even never heard of it.
So that's the thing, it's all like you're speculating what I was going to do based on conversations.
Well, that's what he was
You
going to
also
do.
drove here. You didn't just like have chats that you're bad enough.
So what?
You actually drove 2
Sure.
hours. You're like,
That's not me.
what are you? Tell me who you are. Because based on the text and the behavior you exhibited, I'd say you fit right in there. You just happen to like them much younger
I like
than normal.
Detective Kelly's style.
But I enjoyed just, talking about it. I don't know. I mean,
That's a good point.
With a 12 or 13-year-old girl. You're 44.
He's speechless now because he's made a good point,
That's a major
but he's still not
insult.
accepting it.
Why did you bring the Cialis?
you know what? That was in my car.
I don't care where it was. It was in your pocket.
Are
when
you?
I found it.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave it in the car.
And I said, what's in here? Just I believe it said like CVS or ibuprofen or.
He bought Cialis
And
and
you're like, yeah, that's all it is.
vodka.
We researched it. It's just
Right,
Cialis
right.
stuff.
Sorry, I just.
So you're not even.
Sorry.
Like, why don't you tell me the truth?
I just
We're
got
gonna figure it out.
handcuffed. I just got handcuffed. I don't even remember answering you, to be honest with you. I carry the Cialis around. I just do. And, sometimes I leave it in my car. And
He just carries it
Look at
around.
that prescription bottle. Is texting all kinds of things about having sex with the girl and her pussy and and
Exactly.
dick and everything else.
It's the sexual
You're
chat,
13,
which
and
is
I'm 44, and then you research the statutes.
illegal.
You drive 2 hours on a Saturday night, and you bring Cialis with you, and there's a reference to a marriage contract, because that'll somehow make it legal. Honestly, like, be honest with yourself. Like, you need serious help, honestly. You really do. Because that's just...
Yeah, he's spot on what he's saying now.
It's okay, I never said that. I was saying
Well, what is
that
it?
my intentions were
What, pure?
my intentions were.
The intent
were
was
never
there. He's just trying to,
other than being
as you said, massage.
and that's
you know,
something
the
that, like,
theory of it.
obviously it's like a back and forth that you guys would never know. You know, they did some sort of
Why would we want to wait until that happens?
I mean,
What a
It's kind of like
powerful
saying, well,
point.
wait till the guy like robs the bank before you move in. No, if we have probable cause to believe that these guys are about to rob a bank, why am I putting the freaking tellers' lives and innocent people in jeopardy? Or in this case, the girl in the kitchen with a hat on. I'm gonna let you grope her and feel her up and take your clothes
You know,
off.
why would you
so
wait
that,
for
what, I have a stronger case?
something bad to happen?
Fuck that. You know what I mean? It ain't happening.
this is you know the problem with society. You know,
What's the problem?
that law enforcement looks at, well, all kinds of people just think that men are pigs and all they want is sex.
I never said that.
That's what you're making out. That's what you're making it out to be. You're basically saying that it's not
Listen.
humanly possible for me to hang out with this girl and not have sex with her tonight.
I didn't say it's not humanly possible. It's certainly possible that you could have drove down here after you had this sexually kind of charged discussion, and maybe you're respectful, maybe you're like not some really aggressive guy, and she says, "Oh, I'm not feeling it tonight," and you're like, "Okay, you know, I'm gonna come back another time." But really, your intention was Cialis, a lot of this discussion, marriage contract to make it legal.
Give that man a hand.
How am I going to take this? Do this for? I'm going to do this for months and months and months.
It's
Until
still- the evidence is
forbid,
there.
You like actually attack this girl, and nobody's there to protect her. No, but you're making it sound like you talked about, you know, a shared love of music or something else. Certain books.
We talk about a lot of stuff.
And we also talked about sex with a 12 or freaking 13-year-old girl.
Sex is a part of life. People talk about sex.
Wow. That's how he's justifying it. As if it's normal.
I'm well aware that it looks bad.
It looks bad, and it is bad. It's not just like, hey, we're jumping.
I know it's bad.
You probably had a major league issue with this for a long time. And I don't know that you were going to rape her tonight.
Wow. Getting straight down to it.
But you certainly were preying on her, right? She's 13, she's 14 years old. Are you going to drive down from Boston? You want to drink with her? You got a Cialis in your pocket. You may have one in your system. And you want to bang the chick, right?
Wasn't planning on it tonight.
You weren't going to.
Nope.
So even if she wanted it, you're drinking, you feel good. You got to be horny, right? You haven't had a girlfriend in a little while.
I was not going to do it.
And you have Cialis and the whole texting stuff going on. It's like, I'm serious. Just own up to it.
He's made some really good points here, even though he's butting in.
You're trying to just look at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
think about
he's
what
put it
you're
down
talking
in plain English, hasn't
about.
he?
You know what?
I know.
You weren't going to touch her.
No, I know that it looks bad.
It is bad.
It is bad.
It's not that it doesn't look bad. It's horrible.
Yeah, the whole thing is bad. But my intentions were not to have sex.
So you're going to drink with this girl who, like, how much alcohol does she ever drank in her life?
Let's take it away.
Maybe you didn't plan on having sex with her, but it would have happened if...
I disagree. I honestly disagree.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, again, let's go back to this whole thing, remember?
Just hang out, companion, a friend,
He's got an excuse for everything, hasn't he?
being cool. I don't think there's anything wrong with like hanging out with somebody because you think they're cool.
You want to... How could she be cool? No offense to
How?
any girl that is that age.
Well, I
She's
talked to
cool
her.
to you?
I talked to her enough. Yeah.
A cool 13-year-old.
I'm not denying that it doesn't look bad. I'm not saying it's not terrible.
It is terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible if I have sex with her. I agree.
You just can't get through to him.
It's terrible that you're willing to drink and put yourself in that position and come down here probably for the intention of doing that.
Right, and I can't control myself. You don't think I can control myself? Have a drink and have some pizza, and you don't think I can control myself and not have sex with her?
I don't know you at all.
Right, you don't
I
know
would
me.
say you probably can't control yourself since you got in the car on a Saturday night and drove all this way to meet this girl you've never met, you chatted with about sex and pics and yada yada yada, and getting married, and getting her mother's consent so you could have sex with her, so it would be legal to try to, circumvent the law. You think that's normal?
Answer
No,
that.
it's not. I mean, you've told her that.
And you almost light up like you're proud of that fact. It's
No.
disturbing.
I'm not proud of it. Because I wrote on Skype, I wrote all these messages stating that I don't want to have sex. I don't want to have sex if it's going to be against the law. How can you not interpret that as me trying to obey, not trying to obey the law? How can you interpret that?
How can I interpret it that you're not?
That-
The girl is 13 years
Okay, so
old.
keep going back to
and
that.
You want to? You're trying to.
Keep going back to that.
You want to
That's
be
the
able
problem.
to bang her, and the only way you think you're able to bang her and have sex with her is by getting her mother to sign a marriage application or
Right.
certificate.
Which is-
That's the only reason. You don't even care about the mother. In fact, the only reason you're at the house is because the mother is 1,500 miles away.
Right, and I realized that is would have been virtually impossible.
As it should be.
Right.
You said she's mature and she's got, she's really smart and she's really.
I don't look at it as going after her. I mean,
Well, you can drive and she can't, so she's
Right.
not coming after you.
well, but she's pursuing me too. Online.
Yeah, with this little adolescent brain and you have a serious problem. And until you admit it, you're not going anywhere. You're not gonna get better. This stuff's not gonna go away. I don't know when
Really?
it started. You need.
Really? You don't think this is enough for me to realize that?
I don't think you can help it because you keep on going like
Really?
this and saying, well, you don't know what my intentions were until you admit the truth of what your actual intention was.
reading-
You wanted to have sex with a fucking 13-year-old
That's not
girl.
what- I'm not
That's
gonna
why
do
the
that.
contract. That's why the mother comment about the signed contract.
No,
all those things.
not
It's the
tonight.
only reason.
Not tonight.
Doesn't make a difference if it's tonight or tomorrow.
I'm being honest with you on this. I wasn't planning on having sex with her tonight.
You weren't planning on having sex with her tonight. How many times have girls said that about a date with a guy? I wasn't planning on having sex with the guy, and oh my God, he was so handsome,
Okay,
and
so you're
it was
picking
really
apart.
nice, and
You're
you
picking
weren't
apart.
planning on it.
You're
I
picking-
wasn't planning on stubbing my
You're
toe,
picking
but I
apart
did.
what I'm saying.
No, because you're not being genuine. Be truthful. Just say, if you said, I was not going to, there was no way in hell. I was dropping the pizza, having a slice,
Well, that's
say,
what
man, I'm
I'm
on my way to
saying.
New York,
That's
nice
what
to
I've been
meet you.
saying all along is that
You wait till the
wasn't-
mother's not home, you get to see all this, and you're talking about alcohol with a girl who's 13? That's a great idea. Let's drink with a 13-year-old.
wasn't gonna have sex.
Even if she starts freaking out and dropping all her clothes, you want no part of it.
Believe.
I believe that one. I don't, by the way.
Of course you don't. I know you don't.
Seriously, dude, come on.
And that's obvious from my text messages.
It's obvious that you were planning it.
It doesn't mean we're gonna just have one drink.
He's still not getting it, is
But
he?
again, you're assuming all this stuff.
13!
You're assuming
And
all
she's
this
drinking
stuff.
vodka. You didn't say, well, you could have a little sip. Who are you in her life anyway?
She's 13! Come on!
Around with you. It's getting late.
This guy.
Frustrating. Well, I mean, depending on what the bond is, but
If I can't, I don't know. We'll see what it is.
usually, have you ever been arrested or in any trouble?
No.
Never in your life? Alright, give me 2 seconds. Let me just grab somebody and we'll go downstairs, okay?
Use the bathroom.
Yeah, I'll let you do it. Let me just
Yeah.
get somebody before I figure it out.
A little hole.
So, all together now. She's 13. It's difficult not to laugh, isn't it? What a show. What's with this guy? And I've learned a few things since, in that he did have Cialis in his pocket. So I'm wondering if the prescription bottle may have had more than one type of tablet in it. I think, did he mention a painkiller? Or he had ibuprofen and, you know, obviously his IBS tablet that apparently he took, you know, in the initial visit to the kitchen. He may have had a Cialis ready to go, you know, if his luck was in and they were going to have sex. It was just there in his pocket. He could quickly neck it and, you know, be ready. Very strange, very strange. You know, when people are under pressure and they've just been arrested in this situation, the truth eventually comes out, doesn't it? Because they think they can, you know, just take advantage of people, and then when it all hits the fan, they have to be honest with themselves or they're going to be in jail. So in this case, upon searching the car, he apparently had vodka and Cialis as well. And I was curious as to whether he had the marriage document with him. It doesn't appear he had it physically with him. He may have typed one up, you know, in digital form and had it on his laptop or his phone. Yeah, that's very interesting. It just seems like he just wanted an excuse to have sex with her. In his mind, her mum would sign it, as if that would be okay for her to give away her 13-year-old daughter to him. This man's mind is just not on this planet. So if he had vodka in the car, that would explain the orange juice that he brought with him into the house. You know, that would just make it easier for a child to consume vodka, wouldn't it? Also, in the original video, if you look back, he may have mentioned that the OJ was for later when the decoy offered him water, but she cut him off mid-sentence, and we should have really have heard the rest of that sentence to see what his real intention was for the orange juice being there. And as for butting in, I do like Detective Kelly. His name's Detective Bernard Kelly, and I liked his attitude. He did butt in a couple of times when it would have been more interesting to let Sokol finish his sentence, but I felt overall that he was speaking to him man to man, and probably not in a robotic, professional way. He was actually trying to get through to him, wasn't he? And contesting everything, every warped thing that Sokol said. And I think he was fantastic at it. He just cut him down at every stupid sentence Sokol said. And I have to say, it's amazing that Sokol's been married before, for 10 years. I'm just wondering what the breakup was about, because in Sokol's statement, he said it was mutual. However, I have seen some analysis that others have done with the actual chat transcript, which I haven't seen. I'm not going to read all of it, in that he does kind of admit that he has a small penis. Or is that what people say just to account for any disappointment a woman would have, you know, when they have a sexual encounter with each other? He's kind of preparing her that he isn't blessed with a jumbo, and possibly that's why he could be into children, because they would know less about physical attributes. And that could explain his mindset in this case. He's got OCD, and he could be feeling low about himself and suffering from depression, but still, that does not account for grooming children for sexual encounters. And also, I've seen others mention that he was possibly the only guest on HANSEN Vs Predator that never sent a dick pic. He's apparently the only one, and that would also support the theory that he was, unimpressive in that department. So who knows if that is the cause of not only meeting up with children, but a previous marriage breakup, possibly. I'm only theorising and trying to see what's happening here. So we can see possibly why he would have the Cialis in his pocket, to improve his performance, if you want to take that into account. And also he did have condoms as well in the car. So his way of thinking, bizarrely, is that because sex never happened, it's okay to arrange to meet up with a child. It's so difficult to get through to a man with that mindset. Detective Kelly tried numerous times. It was a long interview, wasn't it? And throughout that time, I think he got gradually annoyed at Sokol. That Sokol wasn't really responding, was he? He wasn't coming out to say, "Oh, I'm so ashamed of myself, I see what you mean now. A 44-year-old guy should not be into children, 12, 13, 14 years old, whatever age she was supposed to be. I'm deeply sorry, I won't do it again, I can see what happened." It was none of that. Not at any point was he coming to reason. And he wasn't understanding that just because you don't have sex, that the nature of the chat and the stuff that you brought in your car tells the police that you're straying into other crimes, such as grooming and intent. And that carries their own penalties. The sexually charged conversation where it's clear he intends to initiate a sexual encounter. You can't ignore that. Just because they didn't do it, or the cops appeared just in time to stop it happening, or it was a TV show, the intent was there. And I'm not a legal commentator at all on this channel. I don't profess to be, and UK laws are very similar to US laws in cases such as this, that you can't groom children online or in person, and you can't show intent to a crime that you don't intend to eventually carry out. That's not how it works. You can't convince anyone of your intentions. They can only go by what they've seen. And what they've seen is a full chat log, which is apparently an inch thick, of sexually charged chat, where it's intentional that he's intended to come round while the parents are out of town. And who knows what's to follow. And also, when he got read his list of charges, he said, "I wouldn't have agreed to that." It's not your decision, Jeff Sokol. Why does he think that he's in charge here? That's what they're charging you with. It's not for you to agree or disagree with what they're charging you with. That's what they're charging you with. And the worrying thing really is that this happens all the time. You've got lots of people meeting through apps and chat rooms. Underage people possibly meet up with adults, and all sorts of pedo cases. It's just shocking that there's a mindset that this is okay even exists. I mean, haven't we all met someone in our lifetimes that we found to be a really horrible person that won't listen to reason? And if they're in our own families, that's even worse, isn't it? You can encounter them out and about, or in the workplace, or if you live in a city where people are much more impersonal, you can just ignore it and walk off. But when these people exist in your own families, You know, they say you can't choose your family. And that's what's really shocking, when there's just real lowlives out there. So I've loosely seen the outcome of Sokol's trial, where I don't know if the judge was trolling him, but he got a 7-year sentence but only served 2.5 years in jail, which ironically was the total journey time it took him to get there. So we know how the judge arrived at that figure. So that makes Sokol a free man as we speak, and I hope he's rehabilitated. And also he got through apparently multiple lawyers, because he's just a pain to work with, isn't he? I mean, we can see that. It's so fascinating, really, isn't it? And I don't know who I'm going to cover next. I've been given a few names, such as Joshua Cologne. He was the guy that I thought I recalled earlier. He's the guy that wanted to have a dump as soon as he got to the decoy house. Or there may be another one. I may do another name. John Dupuis' name has been mentioned a couple of times, so who knows? I'll flip a coin and decide who I'm going to cover next. So stay tuned on the channel, and I'll come back to you soon with another Chris Hansen watch-along. And until then, remember, she's 13! Speak to you soon, guys. All the best and take care.